Welcome to the Religiously Offensive Podcast.
So,
Okay.
yeah, sorry. Today we're going to talk about aliens, extraterrestrials, meaning people or things or intelligent life or even non-intelligent life outside of the Earth.
Intergalactic goop.
Okay.
Goop.
Yeah. So, I think the biggest question surrounding this is, if we were to discover intelligent life outside of the Earth, does it invalidate the Bible or disprove God or anything like this? Some atheists like to claim that, or would claim, whatever, we're friendly to atheists, whatever, would make claims that it, kind of abolishes organized religion just because of a lot of religion's idea is that, the humans are this. I can't talk.
I know.
The humans are kind of the center of the universe, and the universe was created, just for our existence. So, so that's kind of the topic we're talking about. So any thoughts initially before we kind of dig into any of the particulars? Justin? Say something.
I just really want there to be that Mars door, and I want that to be real.
Well, that's not real, though. They said it wasn't.
Who said it
Who
wasn't?
said it wasn't?
No, they said it was erosion. It was a natural, erosion. They studied it.
That's what they wanted us to think.
Bro, that's what NASA told us.
That's fair.
Mr. Neil Armstrong can't swear on the Bible that he walked on the moon.
Wow.
Stinking fraud.
I just don't think he wanted to swear on the Bible.
I like to say this. Nate treats us better than we deserve.
Yeah.
That was good.
Thank you.
And if he wasn't there recording, we wouldn't have a video.
I feel funny.
I would have
I feel
hated
funny.
you if Nate didn't get that recording.
I
don't know
Coy
if
literally
I'd
did
ever
it for
forgive
nothing.
you for that.
That's literally the only time that's ever happened.
I know.
Unforgivable.
What are the chances?
I almost died for nothing.
That was, I vastly underestimated how difficult that was going to be.
Well, the best part was that I just
told you guys.
I couldn't. The only reaction was just laughter because I was just like, "What?
Justin and
Are
I-
you serious?"
And I felt like we were staring at each other, just sobbing our eyes out.
Bro, it was just pouring.
I don't even remember what happened. I feel like I blacked out.
It's just we're here. I don't know what happened in the last 15 minutes. Oh man, wow!
I need to watch that video. I literally don't
literally-
even know what I was doing during that whole thing.
Tell you right now, all these little children on TikTok with their stupid little challenges.
Hot take.
Take that dab to the face and let's see who's laughing.
Take that dab to the face.
Nate got his ice cream cake.
This feels really good on my mouth.
It does. Wow.
But I had all that milk, which sucks.
Yeah.
Are you a big cow milk people? Or are you more so almond or?
Almond.
It depends.
Some people are just so anti.
I don't
Bro,
really.
classic glass of ice cold cow milk, with some Oreos.
I've never really heard it called. I know it comes from a cow, but this is like I've never heard it been called cow milk.
Luke's like, I thought it was milk.
Also,
Yeah.
I understand that it's
Such
a thing.
Justin thing.
Yeah, I understand it's a thing, but almonds are quite literally the driest nut I have ever eaten.
Yeah, I don't know.
How in God's name
You soak it. You just soak it
do
in
they get
water.
milk out of it?
You don't you blend them up? You blend water and almonds together. And
So
then
it's just almond
put 'em in,
flavored water?
in pantyhose type, and then you squeeze it out.
Pantyhose. So
You know
I
what
think,
I'm saying?
I
All them
think so.
pantyhose out there.
You know what I'm saying?
Literally couldn't find another word for it. Knew you guys were going to destroy.
So you
the
don't just
pantyhose
milk
one.
an almond. You basically combine water with
Justin, I'd like to just hear what you thought.
You
maybe.
soak almonds in water.
No. Almonds they each have their own udder. And then you just
See, that makes
They
sense.
do have nipples. The second podcast and really brought up nipples.
I mean,
You've never seen someone like make oat milk at home?
I've never watched anyone make milk
Yeah,
from
you just look it up.
things that aren't animals.
Literally, you just get the oats, get the water.
Oats, like oatmeal, like those kind of oats.
dry oats.
Okay. Almond milk is made by blending almonds with water and then straining the mixture to remove the solids. So it's not really milk.
It's basically exactly what Gabby said.
Literally, exactly.
Yeah, you nailed it, but it's not milk. Like you're just
Minus the
gonna throw
patty
it in a
milk part.
category of things that comes out of
Want
nipples,
some sauce on that?
Oh my.
dude.
I don't even want that near me.
Here.
I don't even want to look at it.
I'm not doing it alone.
This ice cream cake. You're already wanting to do it again.
I think Justin likes self-harm. I think that's what I need to pray for you.
No, freaking naughty.
All right, so back to aliens.
That makes me so sad.
What I think is interesting is personally, I believe that there could be all kinds of intelligent life out there. I think that the Bible is a story of man's redemption on earth. And I don't think it tells anyone else's story. There could be other stories out there, right? We kind of talked about Genesis. There's just, it's a bit ambiguous as far as timelines and stuff like that. I think it does a great job of telling, our story, but, it kind of leaves the door open. And I've even heard people say that, well, I don't think that's probable because it talks about us being made in God's image. And I think just because of our human ego, just the way we are, we just assume that we are the only ones made in his image too, right? And that doesn't necessarily either mean physical form either. Like physically, I don't think we look like God physically. It's just image being, anything from spirit, emotion, whatever. But there are other things that could be made in God's image that could have other aspects of God that we don't have. I mean, this is kind of interesting. Like you go down this
Celestial beings and whatnot.
you go down this you do this thought experiment and you go down this kind of rabbit trail and you could really end up with a lot of different things, and I mean, they always talk about how we can't even come close to comprehending his ways or stuff he's done and all that stuff. I mean, it's cool to imagine.
Well, one element of it for me is, because I mean, it's to me, it can be dangerous to be very closed-minded about the possibility of life, beyond our planet or beyond what we can understand. I mean, it's like the Bible doesn't address dinosaurs. I mean, people try to say well, Job talks about beasts, and you're like, okay, well,
Behemoths.
I don't even but you're just like, the Bible doesn't really address dinosaurs, but we pretty much know they were here at this point. Because I mean, the only alternative would be someone planted a bunch of dinosaur looking like bones all around the planet to trick us. I mean, so it's like the dinosaurs are here.
So the thought process behind that,
It's like,
about the beasts and all that stuff, the thought process behind that would be that they all went extinct during the flood, right? Is that kind of the idea?
probably, I don't know.
When the atmosphere changed and whatever, and that's after that. Isn't that after that we started living?
Well, 'cause
less-
we
didn't live as long.
Yeah, because it's really interesting because there's a lot of historians that believe that a historic flood was triggered by asteroid impact and a lot of that stuff. With
So you think it could have coincided?
possible, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, just all of the stuff that it's cool to have thoughts about. But there is a guy that so basically someone told me their friend who's a pastor said that he would question everything about his faith if they discovered life outside of the world, our Earth, which tells me that he probably has a very limited and preschool understanding of the Bible, to where he just kind of believed what his parents taught him to believe, and his parents didn't believe in aliens and they thought all that was rubbish, and if you go down and really study the Bible, it doesn't preclude any of that. But it's kind of a testament to that's how a lot of people understand the stories. It's just like that second, third, fourth hand learning that we talked about before.
Yeah.
Here's a thought too. We talked about, we didn't talk about, but I saw just an interview where someone talked about there's none of these scriptures that we can't be for in life elsewhere. Okay. So, in fact, we know there's extraterrestrial life. This is some guy who's kind of a matter of fact, because a lot of scientific position is like it's not if but when. A lot of science community thinks that we are bound to find life somewhere, intelligent life. In fact, we know there's extraterrestrial life. There are angels. Yeah, so that's kind of what this guy is counting as extraterrestrial life, angels, right? Because we never really think about angels. Do they count? Why do people never talk about them? New Testament word for angels, and angelos, I don't know, appears more frequently than the word for sin and the word for love. So there's no excuse for not talking about angels.
Interesting.
It is interesting. But when you, sorry for all the sniffling in the mic this episode. I think
we almost died.
His nose is falling off.
Yeah, I'm still kind of crying. And my nose is
That was one of the best. That was one of the most insane things I've ever done.
already have allergies. Thanks, Gab. So anyway, she's gonna go get a whole fill the whole sink up with ice water and stick her head in it. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things too where it's weird talking to church people about this. Mm-hmm. Like, you ever just want to just have some fun conversation, but that saying things like this was going to be triggering to them.
Well, it's kind of one of those weird things where I just I don't think God is so easily offended as we think he is sometimes. We're just so nervous to have real conversations.
Oh, we're so nervous because it's I think a lot of the way the Bible's taught, it's almost like if you say the wrong word or something, you could fall into that unforgivable sin territory.
It's constant walking on eggshells.
Oh, yeah. And you're just it's just clearly God created us with these thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's okay to think them, right? We're just having conversation, even if we're wrong. You know?
I mean, for me, it even falls into the territory of atheism or nihilism. It's so depressing to even think about, because then it's you could believe that a loving God or some creator made all of this on purpose, but you're choosing to believe that that's not real and nothing matters, and we're literally here just by random chance. It's
What's
the same
nihilism?
thing. It's just to believe that nothing matters. So it's there's really no purpose or point to do anything because
That's depressing.
right. And so
Yeah, those
just,
people need to be on a watch list.
But there's a whole but for me, the alien thing kind of falls into that bucket, because it's just we don't really know one way or the other. But it's to take this negative stance, or the God of the Bible can't be the real God if aliens exist, is kind of just there's a lot of things that happen in this universe that I don't understand and can't explain. That doesn't mean that I can't look at it and just be this is fascinating. Most likely some loving being created all this. I mean, or who knows? It's why would you not want to believe that and choose to believe, something that's just miserable?
Do you think there's aliens, Gabby?
Yeah.
Put that mic a little closer.
Yep.
Say it with your chest.
Thick.
What do you think these little guys look like? Or are they big guys?
I'm a big fan of the storybook type aliens, the ones but we've also kind
big
of
brains, weird little bodies, no genitals.
Yeah, big eyes. But they also talk about how those are just proxies. Those aren't really living.
That's what they want us to think.
They're
they
robots.
Look like.
What humans want us to think they look
What
like?
the real
government
aliens want us to think they look like.
Oh, the real aliens may not have a physical form we can observe.
Also possible.
That's a
They
mind
could
blow.
look just like us and be walking around with us.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
We might be the aliens.
Am I?
$9,000.
No,
Can't be.
2.5 million.
it's not possible.
Oh, sorry guys for anyone who hasn't seen Dragon Ball Z. This is just
Or the
gonna
last
be-
podcast episode.
This is going to be a joke that we continue to run with. So
Not a day has gone by that we haven't made that joke.
I know.
Let's see if we can keep that streak alive.
It's a legitimate gripe.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay. Let's see. Another option. Okay, so it talks about this. Another article. It talks about possibilities. But with the discovery of intelligent alien life, alter views on Christ's incarnation. Harsma. This is one of the people in this article. Hold on. Let me cite the article. That way, I'm not being plagiaristic. Impactus.org. Extraterrestrials. Would the discovery of alien life disprove the Bible? Now that I've covered that.
Visit us for all your extraterrestrial needs.
That's right. Wait. Okay. So one possibility is that Christ's sacrifice on Earth redeemed the entire universe. I don't buy that one. But another possibility is that aliens might not need redemption because they might have made a different choice than humans when it comes to sin and the fall. They've got all this advanced technology and stuff just because, like,
How'd they get there, though?
just because we ate the fruit. I mean, what the heck? Huh? Yeah. What if God gave them all this tech and all this stuff? It's just like, hey, you're doing good. Here's a spaceship.
Travel in time. Go spy on these stupid humans.
Yeah. Go see what it's like if you screw up. We're just like a little zoo.
Well, there's another thought that's like singularity where it's essentially there's like, I don't know if it's like an alien race or if it's like a belief that some people hold about the afterlife, but it's almost like gods are like all knowing beings basically. It's almost like the story of Jesus, right? You put on flesh and you like let go of like absolute understanding and just knowledge of the universe, because only then can you actually have like joy and fulfillment. When you know everything about everything, it's just like I don't know.
Yeah. My fault. I was muted. Yeah. And I mean, some of these are cool ideas, so I'll continue. Another option, she argues, is that God might have also been incarnated on alien planets to provide redemption in those worlds. Last possibility she mentions that aliens have their own way to God that is different from the path humans have to God. Interesting. She also
Jesus into the multiverse?
Well, we'll get into that in a second.
Crossover?
Because I
MCU club?
I absolutely
Yeah?
think we're multi-dimensional, but we'll talk about that. The idea of God being incarnated on other planets was suggested in the final novel of C.S. Lewis's The Chronicles of Narnia series. So in Chronicle, you have the idea of Aslan, God appearing in the form of a lion in different worlds, she explains. And by the time you go to the end of the Chronicles of Narnia in the last battle, you see him acknowledge that there are many worlds all pointing to one God, but God incarnates in different ways.
I don't think I finished that book series.
It's a great movie.
I don't remember that.
It's an interesting thought, though, and it's an okay thought to have. It's an interesting idea. It really, we always talk about you talk about there being a God, like you would expect him to be like powerful beyond what you could imagine, right? So, if he's outside of space time and the Lord over all these universes and different things, I mean, totally. I mean, not beyond him at all to do this a bunch of times. Yeah, so it's just it's pretty interesting. So about the multiverse thing, what's the difference between multiverse and multi-dimension? Is there a difference?
Well, I think because when you say dimensions, you're talking about like 1 dimension, 2 dimension, 3 dimension, 4 dimensions.
No, I'm talking about like alternate dimensions. Like we exist in this dimension right now.
Right.
Where we're sitting here and doing this podcast.
So I think we're essentially I think multiverse would be the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Because it's Because you think about things like that are kind of scientific conundrums, like the afterlife, right? A lot of people don't really know or consider what that really would look like scientifically. I mean, and you just have to make the leap of faith that it is there and it is what it is. But it is interesting because I kind of embrace ways that you can explain things because I think it's really cool, right? And I think it'd be super cool is if it's like we sit here as conscious beings in this universe, but then in another dimension, we're also existing simultaneously. And it may not be a dimension like we think about it now, where it's just like different things are happening. It's just like maybe similar things are happening, but we're existing in two places at once. We just don't know it. And then once we die here, we just now exist in that other place.
I mean,
That is mind blowing.
I can't say it.
Isn't that crazy?
Possible.
No, I mean, it's not, nothing's for certain. It's just a thought experiment.
Yeah.
It's just like you open your mind up to this stuff. It actually makes it easier for people to make that leap. Like, okay, no, your brain's dead. You're dead. It's like, no, well, that's like what we understand as the observable surrounding. Like what we can observe. Sure, that's true. But with what we can't observe, I mean, that kind of opens the book on all this stuff. I think it's interesting.
Didn't they start weighing people like the moments right before and right after death, and they found that they weighed like this tiny fraction less?
But don't they also like take a shit when they die too?
Sure, right?
I know when I take a
I bet they
shit,
accounted
it's
for
a
it.
good. It's
I
a
would
good.
still be.
Everyone died.
2 or
when that
3
happened?
pounds.
Well, they'd still be on the scale, ideally, though, unless they're just like
Okay.
explosively launching it across the room. I
Or
don't
release
know
some
how
type
that
of gas.
works. That's also fair. But I would have to look it up. But I think they did it, and they found that there was this tiny amount of weight that I think most or all people would lose right after death, and they started to wonder, theorize, like, does your soul have a tiny weight? Like, is there a weight to it? That like people are just always this tiny bit lighter right after they pass.
You can't waste smoke. I mean, I just don't think you can. I think that's probably. I don't know. I think it's
people
BS.
much smarter than I are recording information
I
and
feel
just
like
asking some questions.
they're reaching with that one.
I feel like the people that are that smart aren't trying to weigh people's souls. I just don't. I don't. It's hard for me to imagine if the soul is not of this world, which I don't believe it is. Then, how could it have an effect like that? I mean, who knows? Maybe it is. I don't know.
Okay,
This is
here we
hard-
go.
It's hard to know.
I'll have to find his exact name, but his reputation was now assured, having been published in both a medical journal and the New York Times, a journal of record. As a result, the fact that the soul weighed 3/4 of an ounce, roughly 21 grams, made its way into the common knowledge and has stayed there ever since.
That's significant. 3/4 of an ounce
grams.
is significant.
21 grams.
What?
Bro, I mean,
All right, we need to weigh some more dead people.
this is just, I'm just saying,
I don't think-
we've been talking about it.
There's got to be another explanation for that.
Anybody know where we can find some dead people to weigh?
You got to find them alive.
Eat more of that hot
just
sauce than might be
barely
us.
dead, barely live people.
No.
is
You
what
need
we
them to weigh them when they're alive, and then
Correct.
when they die.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what they did.
How morbid.
Justin, just hop on a scale real quick and then chug the rest of that sauce, and then we'll weigh you again.
Weigh you again once you're
I
dead.
don't understand why it's
pass
still on
away.
the table.
It's, good
Measure the
to
hot
the
sauce
good Lord.
first, so we can take that out of the equation.
There you go.
Yeah. So that is interesting. It's kind of weird.
It is interesting.
Someone's gonna
Anyone else have any
dive
other
in.
creative thoughts about the afterlife or whatever? Because it's interesting. Let's keep this going. Anyone ever thought like some weird stuff they thought they couldn't say out loud about that?
Well,
I always wonder if
I really, Justin's like, well,
I always wonder if like if we die and we go to heaven, like do I get the ability to like
fly.
but not just fly, but like
Don't.
I feel like
full court.
flying
I was
is
about to say.
what
Flying is
superpower do you want?
flying is definitely in my. I shouldn't say definitely because I have no idea, but I got to be able to fly in heaven. But anyways,
You want to play basketball like those guys on NBA Jam?
like, I'm just thinking like, will I be able to like look, like fly around the earth and like see my family that's still there. Things like that.
I
That's
thought
an interesting thought.
that would be
too.
fun. I mean, I think it would also be fun to be able to just like, if you're not, I mean, you no longer need to breathe or any of that. You could just travel anywhere else in the universe and just like check out God's creation.
That would be so sick. Yeah.
I mean, I've always thought that would be sweet. I mean,
What are your
because
thoughts on reincarnation?
I just don't want to come back as a plant.
I don't
but-
either. Can you imagine?
I mean,
I'd-
you've heard
it's-
those stories where
I mean,
where like
possible,
people's
I don't know.
kids are like telling stories of their past life, right?
Oh yeah, I met someone who had a
never heard
legitimate
this?
fear of
What?
the ocean
That's a thing?
because in a former life they were convinced that they drowned.
Well, I heard
So
a story.
now they won't go in the ocean.
I mean, that sounds like people like on acid.
No, I heard a
she
story
believed
where
it.
this lady, she had a kid that passed away, and years later she had another kid, and they like passed by, I guess like where that kid passed away, and they're like, Mommy, you remember? Like that's where I died.
So
sounds
she
like
had
a
a kid that
horror
was, that was
movie.
the same
I
kid.
know, dude.
That's crazy.
The same kid came back.
Well,
I mean, I absolutely think crazy stuff happens that we do not understand.
yeah.
I don't know if I can get on board with
mean-
reincarnation.
Who knows?
I don't know. There's some crazy stories.
That's a no from me, dog.
I feel like
No for me, dog.
I'd get real nervous about that because at that point, it's like, I feel like karma would play a big role in that. And,
I think that's the idea.
All right.
and then,
Okay.
like Justin's literally like
Isn't there a
the
religion
bottom of his
that
dog's
does believe
cage.
So
Oh,
this-
get out of here.
This was posted
Yeah, it's possible.
on Reader's Digest, April 1st, 2022. Says, it starts with a quote. When I was your age, I changed your diaper, said the dark-haired boy to his father. Ron looked down at his smiling son, who had not yet turned 2. He thought it was a very strange thing to say, but he figured he had misheard him. But as baby Sam made similar remarks over the next few months, Ron and his wife Kathy gradually pieced together an odd story. Sam believed that he was his deceased grandfather, Ron's late father, who had returned to his family. More intrigued than alarmed, Ron and Kathy asked Sam, "How did you come back?" "I just went whoosh and came out the portal," he responded.
It's like a little slide.
It's like a little
Wait, a 2-year-old is
Okay,
saying
when
this?
was this? When was this?
I don't know like when that family actually had this experience, but this was published April 1st, 2022. So month and a half ago.
There's definitely some.
You need to talk to that kid when he's older.
Without a doubt, there's some crazy things that
He's
have
been
happened.
speaking in full sentences from the age of 18 months.
I was just about to say before you.
Yeah, his stunned to hear him use a word like portal. They asked Sam if he had any siblings, and he replied that he'd had a sister who turned into a fish. He said, "Who turned her into a fish? Some bad guys. She died." Eerily enough, Sam's grandfather had a sister who had been murdered 60 years earlier. Her body was found floating in San Francisco Bay.
That's
I'm out. I'm changing the movie to something funny at that point.
yeah, right.
30% of Americans think that reincarnation's real.
Wow.
Wow.
And
That's-
some
that's a
10%
lot.
of them report being able to recall their own past lives.
30% of Americans?
Yeah, what's the point of reincarnation if you can't remember your past life? Right?
And are you
Well,
just
that's what-
alive infinitely?
Well,
I
that's
think
what,
the idea would be to reflect and just not be a trash human.
yeah.
So
Well, that's what
reincarnate.
people say,
what
that-
people believe they'll be reincarnated as humans or as, a doorknob.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think
not
probably not
doorknobs,
inanimate
probably.
objects. I think it's got to be
that
alive
girl
on
went-
some level.
But then how do you?
Like a silver bullet.
I'm
But here's to my larger point with a lot of this stuff. It's just like I feel like thousands of years ago when these books were written explaining supernatural things and trying to explain mysticism, to see how much we have advanced just as in our understanding and with technology and just how the world works, things like that. Like the world's actually not flat. Like,
Right.
so a lot of stuff like this where we think heaven is a physical, literal place that actually has streets of gold. It's like, okay, so it definitely says that in scripture, but do we really think that's like, I don't know. Because even in that context, it's like the throne room and all this stuff. You're like, I mean, if we were to write the book today, it probably wouldn't be a throne room. It'd be just probably a baller desk. Like we don't have thrones. Like it's just to try to like see it literally through like what the scripture would say. I guess the whole point is like stories like this where it's like I think a lot of people would just look at it and be like, nope, not possible, or like that kid's crazy, or it's like it's demonic. It's like for me, part of the challenge is I just don't know. So it's like until I am given additional information that feels credible, that would help me understand that better. It's like, to me, it's like, I've said it before, but it's like approaching everything really genuinely with an open mind, whether I can understand it or not, and then truly believing that a good, loving God wouldn't like steer me or like ultimately lead me to something other than the truth.
Yeah.
But we just discredit all this stuff. You're just like, what if that is possible?
Well, the crazy thing is there's so many people that are either like Christian, religious, or some other, religion. There are so many people that fall into one of those camps, yet like none of the government funds or anything like that ever go into spiritual research. I mean, it sounds wacky, but it's like clearly enough of this stuff is kind of like happening to where it's like, if we're going to explore space and we put billions of dollars toward that every year, why wouldn't we explore like what's here? Like is there another dimension? Is there stuff happening around us that we can't see, like inside of like what's not visible to our eyes? Because we already know, like, our visible light spectrum is very small.
Right.
What else is going on,
Dude, there's like
have you seen that thing
there's
where
a
it was
shrimp that can see like 100 more colors than us.
Wow. I already think there's too many colors. Just saying.
Same with hearing. I mean, we can only hear dog whistles.
That would be cool. Well, yeah, maybe not be cool.
So, because that's
Thanks.
Thanks, Luke.
within the
I'll be here all
range.
day.
That was right in the right frequency.
Pissed off our viewers.
But
Only the ones who can hear it.
No, these guys are like sitting. Yeah, right.
Well,
that was a fairly hearable frequency, Luke.
All of our listeners are deaf.
Yeah. This
all we
guy's
have-
got like his AirPods in noise canceling mode, jacked, like he's like
Yeah.
working out, and Luke's like blowing into the mic.
Come back next time.
that's awesome.
Anyway,
I mean, the reality is we have 5 senses, and when we try to explain,
well, I don't know if we all may have 4 now. I don't know about.
Yeah,
I don't know about
is
taste.
gone
Yeah, I think
after
it's
that
probably
hot
fried.
sauce.
we're supposed to have 5. Yeah. So
Although my mouth feels normal now,
Yeah,
yeah, I think I'm back.
I've
Yeah.
recovered.
feeling great.
I still feel a little funny in general.
Stomach feels
but-
weird.
Yeah.
My stomach feels real weird.
Yeah.
I don't think I've
Probably
never.
won't record.
I don't think I've
Ben.
ever. I don't think
It's all
I've
of it.
ever. I don't. What is it? What's half of a half gallon? A quart?
Court?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever drinking a quart of milk, eaten like a full lunch, done like another couple of wings, and then had ice cream cake.
It's like you're 8 years old at a Chuck E. Cheese.
Like that's exactly how my stomach feels right now. It brought me back to that feeling.
It's like CC's Pizza all over again.
I'm sorry.
Just, like,
5
pray
senses.
for me.
5 senses.
Yeah.
Please proceed.
So it's interesting because it's like we have 5 senses. So everything we feel or we think that we know, even in terms of like when we say like, oh, I feel God's presence or something like that can only be defined by like it has to fit in under the umbrella of like our five senses.
Right.
And what's to say that there's like aliens or there's some extraterrestrial species that has more senses, and like you said, we're just like completely oblivious, wouldn't know if they're here or not.
So how is that? So when people say they feel the Lord, feel this and that, right? Where does that? Wonder what sense that would come from, or do you think that's a sixth sense? Sixth sense?
I mean, I guess I'll just bluntly from my experience. I mean,
So when you feel
Mostly,
something
like, in,
emotionally, when you feel something emotionally, is that another, like, how is that, or would it be like because you saw it, that was the sense that you used to process, and then you're feeling the emotion? Is that probably it?
yeah, because I think
'Cause you always-
emotions
yeah.
would be the response to a sensation, right?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I don't know.
Never mind. You're right.
But maybe I'm just grossly simplifying it.
No.
but
take it down to the roots.
It was, and this is partly why I really got into meditating and really trying to get to deeper places of like just genuine gratitude. I was listening. We touched on another podcast, but this concept is called convergence, and it's when your brain waves and your heart waves sync up, and they find it happening in moments of gratitude and like joy, and then inversely when you're frustrated, you know, the waves literally are opposite.
Interesting.
And the way he explains it is it's like this pulsating energy that you just feel inside. It's almost like, so, you know, like you're having a beautiful moment, because I've had this happen a ton of times. You're having a beautiful moment, like a worship set, and it's just hitting you. And then you just get those like tingle goosebump feeling all over your entire body kind of a thing. You know, I don't know if that is like what people think when they're talking about, I feel the Lord, or I don't know. I've had that many times, and it's almost always synonymous with really impactful moments of kind of like the elevated self, you know, letting go of the ego and the stupid things that don't matter. But when I started listening to this guy, he would talk about it, and so I kind of went on my own little journey. I was like, I like this dude, you can tell it's like super real to him, and I had never had any experience like that. I didn't know, so I really kind of dove in.
What kind of experience was he describing?
It was essentially.
Same thing you would.
Well, it's like, I don't know how to explain it other than it's literally like, you know how like those goosebumps or body chills is like you feel it and it kind of goes into your body kind of in a way. Yeah. It's like an outer sensation. It's like on your skin, and you kind of get like the tingle kind of comes in, or
like that.
And it can happen. I think I've had it happen many times. I mean, when I watch some of those emotional movies, I'll get you know, similar responses.
I get that.
But dude, all I can say is I've experienced it, and it is unlike anything I've ever felt, and it's not happened many times. But when I was really good about, and it's funny because it's all biblical principles, like really, really like gardening and tending to the kind of my thought life. Yeah, I don't know how to explain it other than it literally feels like the opposite. Like instead of the goosebumps being kind of an outside to the inside sensation, it's just like, it feels like it's literally here, and it's just like, and I only would feel it when I was like really, really on top of like my like thought game, and really like not letting. So it was really just actually living out a lot of these biblical principles. And dude, I mean, it's one of the realest things I've ever felt. So that's kind of why, you know, and actually what's really interesting is kind of went through, recently after. It was crazy because I finally got to that level, and I was just like, bro, I feel like I'm tapping into something awesome. So it was really just, I mean, it was just an incredible thing. And then shortly after, kind of went through a little season of like betrayal from someone that was pretty close to me. And dude, ever since that happened, I've not experienced that one time.
Wow.
For like dead honest. Yeah.
How long has that been?
I mean, over a year.
Okay.
And so it's one of those things where it's like, I can almost feel that there's some level of like bitterness or resentment or something that I'm holding on to, and I don't know what or how. But dude, I mean, just all of a sudden I was tapping into it, and then
Interesting.
Nothing.
Wow.
But all that to say, there's just so much that we don't understand.
Yeah, right.
And it's interesting because with a lot of these conversations, it's like to just approach it so close-minded, you know, a lot of more traditional. It was that sermon you were listening to the other day. I kind of overheard it, where it's just like this idea of like, you know, the conservative versus the progressive kind of thing, and how it's like both. It's not an either or.
Right.
So there's certain things that need to probably change slowly or with a lot of thought. There's other things that are like, hey, this really doesn't serve us as an individual or a collective. You know, it's time to change something. So, but a lot of these topics, you know, if you can't even talk about it because, you know, I don't have a Bible verse for that, so I can't even like, I don't know.
It's like people that just need the book to tell them everything.
Well, it's like, yeah, if it doesn't line up with what the book says, I mean, that's why, like,
they don't feel like they're okay to even.
We'll go to big like conferences, and there will be a guy there that sets up a booth talking about dinosaurs, and like, hey, it's like this is a couple verses where it maybe could have fit in. You're just like, no, what? Like you're devoting your life to just like, it's okay if it's not in the book, man. Like if it didn't address it, I don't know.
Doesn't mean that it didn't happen or it wasn't real.
And I use that. That's kind of my approach with the whole alien thing. It's just like, well, I mean, just because it doesn't address it.
What about ghosts?
Okay. All right. Opening that can.
I mean,
What do you mean by
not?
ghosts?
I mean,
Because there's,
do you believe in ghosts?
I've seen some sketchy pictures for sure.
Do you guys in your lifetime think do you think you would encounter a ghost or an alien?
I hope not.
Which one do you think you'd
Alien,
be more likely to encounter?
I would love to encounter an alien.
I feel like that's your dream.
A ghost?
No, an
I
alien.
don't know about a ghost.
Bucket list.
JJ, is
Yeah,
your
if you're-
dream just like a UFO lands in
if you're
your
listening
yard
out
and
there,
says,
this is your guy.
I need you.
Probe him all you
to help
want.
me." And JJ's like, this is my moment.
So you believe in alien more than you believe in ghosts, or is it kind of the same?
I believe that it could. I mean, I don't know anything about ghosts. I think they are, call them like premonitions, call them like almost like a, one of those things where it's like, say you were to burn a CD and there was like still some of the old recording there, right? It's almost like as if someone's life had like burned some kind of track into something, and like it's just you're just kind of seeing that like resonating piece of that, even though they're gone. Kind of interesting, like to think about it that way. That's kind of how I think about it, But who knows? Like I have no idea. Who knows? Like my mind's open to all that, but I think it's freaky just because when you think about ghosts, you don't think about Casper. You think about freaking the evil ones.
Mm-hmm.
I like the friendly ones.
The ones slamming doors in the middle of the night and stuff.
Yeah.
Opening cabinets.
Well, because there's that. What was that whole movie? It was a Paranormal Activity that came out for a while. It was
Please
like
don't.
super-
Please don't. I'll watch pretty much anything except those kind of scary movies. I don't like that.
Right before it starts, it says, based on a true story.
I know. I hate
Run out
I
of
didn't need to
run
read
out.
that.
And, like,
I
toward the
could've been
end-
better off without that information.
What was it toward the end when I forget what it was?
Spoiler
Like,
alert.
well, I mean, if you haven't seen it by now,
Yeah, it's safe.
it's like, what was it toward? Because I barely remember, so I might need your help. But it's basically they hear this like really loud noise. I mean, they hear noises and stuff the whole movie, but then a really loud noise downstairs. They go, and then like, didn't like one of the people like get like start crawling on the floor or something?
Yeah, it's
I
absolutely
feel like I
creepy.
vividly remember what scene you're talking about.
Yeah, toward the end.
Talk about the girl that like
Yeah.
Why do they always
hair
do
all over the
that?
face.
Yeah, why do they always do that like backwards, upside down crawl? You're just like, that's just not.
I don't know. You know,
You could run faster.
What did
they
one of
do
them?
that.
One of them kill the other one? Is that what happened?
I don't remember.
I don't. Do you remember?
I don't.
I just refused to watch them after that one movie. Turned
I
me
don't
off.
watch those
Turned
kind
me
of
off
movies
to
either.
all of them.
Yeah, I'm not big on like the demonic stuff.
But
just
I'll watch like House of Wax. I'll watch like Saw. I'll watch the gory ones.
the thrillers and stuff.
I mean, because it's like clearly it just didn't happen, but
Yeah.
it's interesting. Like,
Yeah.
the Saw was interesting because you put humans in those impossible situations. Are they going to choose themselves or choose someone else? Mm-hmm. And most of the
want to
time,
play a game?
most of the
They're
time they
always
chose
gonna choose
themselves.
themselves,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's nuts. But yeah, anyway, I think that some version of ghosts are real, and I think aliens are real. I mean, we just don't have enough knowledge, right? I mean, you think about how much we've progressed in human knowledge in the last 50, 100 years. It's been immense. Like in the last 20 years, it's been crazy. So I think we'll continue to learn more, but I just don't have any. I don't even have a guess. As it relates to
TBD.
that. Yeah, TBD.
That's the crazy thing about.
But it's like I'm not going to be like. There's a lot of people who just shut the door on that conversation, right? I mean, I'm completely open minded when it
Because
comes
they
to all that.
scared.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, just look at how much has changed in the last, call it like, I don't know, 150 years. Like, as we kind of started developing cities and all that stuff. I mean, I guess back Greek and Roman times, they had aqueducts and all that stuff. They kind of started. But it's crazy. Like, to me, you think about ancient stories of like, and we could do a whole podcast on the pyramids. Like,
yeah,
the pyramids, like, if you really like go into like how they were made and the precision and even the location and the fact that like it also gives the exact dimensions of the Earth on like a 43,200 like multiple. Like it's like you really like look at all the facts of this thing.
The accuracy.
It's like someone who made this literally knew how big the planet was. Like there's so many things that like, and it's like a fraction of 1 degree off from true north, not even magnetic north.
If they would have had that kind of knowledge, though, they would have progressed further than they did. I feel like.
Well, who knows?
But the thing, so my thought is, I think that speaks more to the uniformity of nature. So I think there are different things. Who knows how they measured the pyramids? But they may have taken it from something else that also has a direct proportion of the size of the Earth.
True.
You know what I'm saying?
just don't even
So,
think
like,
today with our
something that
current technology,
we wouldn't even know
do
what they used. You know what I'm saying? You know how certain things in nature kind of like correlate to, things don't grow past a certain size because of our atmosphere, because of the size of the Earth, because of gravity. You know what I mean? Like if they had used something else as a measure that was close enough to the exact proportions of the Earth, then you could see that could happen.
Yeah.
Because I just think if like you literally knew the Earth was round and you knew like all these things about the Earth and all this, like you could have done some crazy shit.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's why a lot of those theories go into the Younger Dryas theory with the cataclysm, and it was essentially like
Atlantis, baby,
flood that wiped it all out. I mean, Plato even references he spent like 13 years in northern Africa, and he references advanced civilizations it was about, I think, like 12,000 years earlier, or 12,000 BC, which is when a lot of people think the Younger Dryas happened, like the cataclysm. But
the Earth wasn't even here 8,000 years ago.
It can only be 6,000 years old maximum. Yeah.
Sorry for all of you young Earthers out there. I'm not ragging on you. It's completely possible and within God's ability to create the Earth in 7 literal days. I just don't think it happened that way. That is all.
Tomato, tomato. Whatever. But like all that to say, in 200-300 years, we've advanced on immense scales, right? It's totally plausible that, we just think because they came before us, they weren't advanced. I mean, all that we did is just take the resources and smart enough people, figure out how to combine them, forge them, fuse them. That's how we got what we have today.
And then Al Gore gave us the internet.
Yeah.
So
what a guy.
Thanks, man.
So it's like, who's to say that 15,000 years ago that there wasn't some crazy advanced civilization that had different kinds of technology in different ways? I don't know. Just an interesting thought.
Real interesting
to me,
thought.
at least.
Luke, do you believe in ghosts? Going back to the ghost thing?
I believe there's a spiritual realm.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I think there's angels and demons and all that
Pretty big
stuff.
doorway.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
I think it's hard to be a Christian and not believe in that, because that's ultimately it's ultimately reality.
Yeah, because that's the whole other dimensional thing that's crazy. Because it's like I imagine in another dimension, because there's
Like
stuff,
right now.
stuff going on all around us.
Yeah.
And we just don't
kind of
see it.
Nuts, but
Yeah.
there's definitely a spiritual aspect to our existence.
It's
that's-
crazy. Yeah.
It's pretty hard to deny, in my humble opinion.
IMHO.
IMHO.
I'm Ho.
Idaho.
Idaho.
Boo.
That's great. Yeah. So, as far as the alien thing goes, you could easily start to make that conversation and kind of twist it a little bit and talk about Holy Spirit, because the Holy Spirit is. So I guess Gabby, just to explain what the Holy Spirit is. So in the Christian Bible, we talk about God existing in 3 parts, and the other part of this is the Trinity. They call it the Trinity. So like there's God the Father, God the Son, which is Jesus, he came down here, and then the Holy Spirit, which is like all around us and everywhere. God existing all around us. So it's kind of one of those things that's interesting as far as the universe goes, because there's I don't know if I brought this up on the evolution podcast, but I talked about I talked to a lot of people about like dark matter and dark energy and how they can't define it. It's like 90% of the universe is made up of either dark matter or dark energy, and then there's the rest of it, right, which is the rest of the total mass of the universe. I've always thought that it'd be interesting, because I think dark energy is what is like pushing the universe, like expanding the universe. Like that's how, like I believe that's the energy that's causing the universe to expand. And then dark matters like resists that or something like that. Here, let me look it up real quick. But have you heard of this stuff? Anything about dark matter or any of that? You guys aren't nerdy enough. You aren't like me, huh?
I don't know much about it.
love these conversations. I just don't understand enough about it. Yeah.
All right, continue to talk.
I've seen
while I
the
look this
Thor
up.
movie where they have the little elves and then they talk about dark matter sometimes.
So dark
Natalie
dark
Portman saved
matter
everyone.
attracts and dark energy repels. Yeah.
So everything's dark.
Well, okay.
And this is what the universe is made of?
Yeah, so the universe is made of regular matter, which is what we're made of, what the earth is made of, what everything that we can see is made of, right? And then space, like all that empty area,
The void.
right, is actually, I mean, it's not made of nothing, right?
This is the sun, regular matter?
Yes. Any sun,
Solid,
planets,
liquid, and gas.
anything. There you go.
Come on.
Science, man.
Come on.
So 68% of the universe is dark energy. Dark matter makes up about 27%.
Wait, say that again?
68% of the universe is dark energy. Dark matter makes up 27%.
Of that 68%?
No,
On
no,
top of
on
it.
top of that. So the all normal matter, which is what we are, is only 5% of the universe.
Which is basically the planets and the sun.
Stars?
Right.
And the
And the
moons?
stars.
Stars,
Sun's
moons,
a
and
star.
planet.
Yeah, so it's crazy.
So black holes.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, black holes would be considered probably a mix of dark matter and normal matter.
There's
'Cause
way more
they're-
darkness in the universe than there is matter.
And well, I don't want to get
Darkness as in like
I don't want people.
space.
Yeah, I don't want people to get confused because, like, you tell
I mean, it does make sense.
you tell the
Really
typical
think about
church
it.
lady like dark matter and dark energy. You don't
Yeah.
talk about those things. It's
got weird.
It's really all. It's just a
Space.
definition.
Yeah,
it's just
yeah.
a definition, right? So call it like, fun matter.
Black matter.
Yeah, fun energy and fun matter, right? So like, when you talk about like that's 95% of what makes up the universe. Plenty of room for the Holy Spirit in there. I mean, I just like kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, maybe, well, that's what. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
it's just like because God manifested Himself in Jesus to make Him more tangible to us. What's to say that He's not like the Holy Spirit doesn't manifest itself in a physical way too? We just don't perceive it, right? Just all around us.
That's crazy.
I don't know. Like again, that could be wrong, but I don't think it's bad to just think that way. It's just kind of fun,
Interesting. So
Justin's
there beings,
gonna like meditate on this
there
later.
beings that can survive. Yeah, you wonder if there's like some sort of beings that can survive in
Inside the dark matter.
So energy pushes and matter pulls. Is that what you said? The dark.
I don't want to mess this up. Essentially, dark matter attracts, dark energy repels. So dark energy is what's like making our universe expand. Dark matter is what's making it
keep in
contract.
place.
Well,
Like keeping
slowing
stars where they're-
down the
where they're
expansion.
at?
Because it's essentially, it's if things go the way they're supposed to go because you have these repelling forces, it's like a really slow like release of something that's eventually going to retract. That's what they see it as, right? Because of the gravity, like they've measured all this stuff to where it's like the universe is expanding because of this dark energy, and then the dark matter is providing a repelling force against the dark energy, but it's going to get to a certain point where it stops and then comes back. You know what I'm saying? Like where it I mean, we're talking a long time from now, right? But like, weird. It's just that's kind of like where it heads.
Dope.
Dude, it's super cool.
That's crazy. Yeah, we need to start.
For a time, I wanted to be a physicist. That would have been, I mean, cool.
I'm crazy.
But
You'd be a good one.
thanks.
It's never too late.
You've got the brain.
Thanks, Luke.
Dream a dream.
I wanted to during COVID. I wanted to start taking classes, but then like everything's, nothing was like online. They wouldn't offer those kind of degrees online. You probably have to do experiments in person and stuff.
Lame.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just crazy because you realize like so many things that we don't understand, right? I mean, I think it's just cool to have these creative ideas, but then again, it's just who knows if who knows if there's extraterrestrials? Who knows if there's not? Who knows if, whatever lives in this dark energy, dark matter, and all this stuff. I mean, I just think it's so cool to think about, and to think about, our role in all this. I feel like the more that we learn, like the vastness of space, the more it's like we really think we're the center of this, right? Like, I mean,
well, that's kind of not my issue, but that's kind of just for me, just a thought about even, when we were writing these religious texts and like books like the Bible, it's like we describe it in a way where it's like we are kind of the center of the universe. And we're God's like most loved creation, and He did this all for us. It's like, well, what happens if we're not? And there's others.
Well, I mean, it's made a lot of the stuff I looked at. It's made clear that even if the door is open for alien life, it's like it's clear that God is like we're important to Him,
For
right?
sure.
So it's no matter what. So I mean, so you can still hang your hat on that. But I just think it's interesting. It's kind of fun to think about,
I just want to hopefully we figure this out in our lifetime.
There's a lot we're not going to figure out in our lifetime.
Did you remember
Hopefully we can just figure out how to cure sickness and disease and like copy our consciousness.
We got our own issues just on Earth.
Yeah.
did you ever hear, what was it, in Zimbabwe? There was that story with all those kids that saw that like the alien ship.
What?
You ever hear this? You never heard the story? Rogan talks about it all the time.
I don't know.
There's a bunch of kids in Africa that claim that like they were visited by an alien. They all drew the like same ship, like a little saucer thing. Funny looking little alien.
Crazy if it was some like dude with some like helicopter, something just like messing with these kids.
Well, because it seems like then there's the Bob Lazars and the guys that have come out.
Bob Lazar.
Oh, sorry, Lazar. Yep.
Battalion.
Yeah, I got a list. Blame it on the hot sauce.
Battalion's a word, by the way. I did look it up.
It is,
Battalion is a word, yeah.
But it's
totally
like
thinking something else.
Something to do with like an army and fighting and
But he was trying to say what were you
Pass off the baton. Yeah,
he said battalion.
I got the first three letters, and my brain was
you
just
mind,
like,
So broke Italian.
You mind passing me the battalion?
that's a whole sermon in of itself. Pass the baton well,
Buffalo and Italian sauce put together. Battalion.
Wow.
Battalion, yeah.
I think we're on to something.
No, battalion. We could make it battalion.
Yeah, that works.
To cover your ass.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't even know where I was going.
Passing the baton. What is this? What you're saying? Passing the baton.
What totally unrelated. But it's an analogy I enjoy.
Half the things we say are unrelated.
Because a lot of times you see, in any culture or organization, you have kind of the generational kind of passing of the baton, if you will. And, coming from a larger denomination where you look around and you're like, okay, so all the people in charge of this thing are like 70 plus. And it's like, I respect, you love the commitment and the time and the years you put in, you served. But you see it everywhere. It's like our president is literally should be in a nursing home. Like, it's like, so we didn't have a nice, 50-year-old man that has some good experience and, isn't on the verge of dementia that we could put in charge of everything. There's this weird thing where it's like,
it's a broken,
and I'm sure it'll be hard.
It's a broken system, period.
Well, it's human nature. Look at everything, it's like, it's probably harder said than done, when you're in that position. But, when I think about a relay race, it's like the teams that win the relay race don't just have the fastest runners. They nail the transition, the pass off. And it's like there's something to be said for the older experienced people having wisdom to know when it's time to really hand it off and let the next generation run with it.
Is that addressed in the Bible, though? Retiring and handing off the baton and all that?
I don't know.
We'll have to look that up and talk about it when we talk about it.
Sure, there's something along the lines, but
interesting.
That's probably just something that's not just church; it's just human nature. We probably don't do very good at that.
I would have voted for Tulsi Gabbard.
She's gangster.
She's got
that little white hair thing,
head on her shoulders,
like Storm.
It's great
From X-Men.
Oh, does she? I haven't paid much
she has
attention.
This
to
random
that.
little white streak, and you're just like,
I like that. Yeah, no, I haven't really paid much attention. I just when she's been on, she was on Rogan, she was on some other stuff. She's just like she's super intelligent. She's very like
Hawaii?
She was in the military.
Right.
Yeah, and she's Democrat, but she's like she just got
She's
like
solid.
she's common sense.
Yeah.
Commonsensical, right? I mean, that's kind of like what people are looking for now, and they just don't get anywhere. Mm-hmm. So anyway.
Yeah. Well,
Not to go on that aside. Dude, that hot sauce wore me out. I feel so tired right
Me
now.
too.
I just feel weird.
Like, I feel like that just took it out of me. And I know when I get up, the butt sweat is just going to be puddled into my chair.
Oh, that's an image.
For everyone,
just-
for everyone listening, I just want to
Let's
make sure
mark-
I give them something.
Let's mark your chair so we just know who's this here.
Yeah.
Come and play musical chairs.
It's fine. We'll just hire someone to come in and clean these seats. Not tell them that we sweat in it. Anyway, all right. Well, thanks for being patient with us today, everybody. I know that this episode may get cut up a little bit. There may be kind of weird quality video in the front end, so you can see us make fools of ourselves eating hot sauce. Otherwise, we look forward to being with you guys next time. Peace out. Peace.
What the fuck?